I'm thinking about a couple of scenarios in my head
Mm,
of players that I remember. I know one example last season. It was Mark Noble came on against Manchester United in the last minute, and his only touch of the ball was a penalty, and he
mm,
missed. And of course, there was uproar because David Moyes, or there was criticism for Moyes because he brought him on. He didn't have a warm up. Nothing. But I know realistically, I mean, if he had a scored, no one really cares. But
yeah.
obviously, how would his mental state have been, as you said there, and that kind of he's a substitute, he comes on, he's not having warmed up. You said about how important the kind of the warm up is, especially to the player.
Mm.
Why is that?
So it touches a little bit on tactical periodization, where their aim is to almost um, sort of prepare players and paint pictures for players, so that you can sort of relate it to a game state, game intensity, and game sort of match as close as possible. So, and that's why I think substitutes struggle so much is because they go from being sat down for 15 minutes to entering a game where they might have to reach their top speed in seconds, with no warm up. They have to go from sat watching the game to being within the game within a pressing shape in seconds. They have to go from
Mhm.
sitting watching the game to performing a 50-yard diag, that's going to be the difference between getting a player through and not through. So what my role was designed to is to try and bridge that gap and do things so that we can try and prepare these players so that we've painted all the pictures already for when they come on, they feel ready in all of those corners. And touching on the Mark Noble example, I think that probably wouldn't have been, in my opinion, again, I'm an outsider looking in, but I don't think it'd be from a psychological point of view because Mark Noble is, near the end of his career. He will have sort of, in my opinion, sort of understood
Mhm.
his role as a substitute. What it might have come from the fact is that he hadn't touched the ball for 45 minutes. So you're asking him to now take one touch of the ball that's got to be the most important touch in a game of football. And I always go down the park, and when you play headers and voles, your first volley is always at the park, isn't it? Because it's your first one of the day. So I always say it's like driving a car. Sometimes the first gear change is a little bit funny. By
Mhm.
the 50th gear change, you do it naturally and involuntary because you're playing with your instinct. And I think it's a little bit like that. So in that Mark Noble example, I would say that maybe not from a psychological perspective, but maybe more so from a technical perspective, he wasn't warmed up.